Let's take a look at what's in the pack. First are the number cards. These are from 1 to 15 in 4 suits: red, blue, green and orange. These cards allow you to add and to match. Next are the wild cards. Some of these cards may look scary, but don't worry, you only play with the ones that you understand. The cards use subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, decimals, percentages, roots and indices. They allow you to perform various operations on numbers. Numero can be played with different numbers of players, but is probably most fun with 2. When starting, it's easiest to learn by playing with only the number cards, so take the number cards out of the box and leave the wild cards. Before you start, make sure the cards are well shuffled. Next, cut the pack to decide who will deal. The dealer is the player with the higher number. Deal 5 cards each, face down. Place 1 card for each player in the centre of the table, face up. For example, in a 2-player game, there'd be 2 cards face up, and in a 3-player game, there would be 3 cards. The game is most fun with 2 players. Place the rest of the pack face down on the table. The objective of the game is to win the most cards. Let's run through an example game for 2 players, a dealer and a non-dealer. I'm going to show all the cards. Remember, usually you wouldn't be able to see each other's hands. Also, I'm not going to use the whole pack, as that would take too long. This sample game was created by Ros Ladyman. The dealer gives both players 5 cards. Also, 2 cards are placed face up on the table between the players. Make sure you put your cards in order. Being well organised allows you to play faster and to win more cards in timed games. Don't forget that you can count the dots on the cards to help you with large numbers if you need to. Some cards have points on them. Ignore these for now. The non-dealer goes first. Look for any numbers in the centre that are the same as numbers in the non-dealer's hand. The non-dealer takes the 2 in the centre with the 2 in his or her hand. This kind of take is called a match. Remember to say what you're doing. You must always verbalise the moves you make in Numero. The non-dealer's turn ends when he or she plays the number card. In this case it was 2. He or she must then replace the card they used with one from the pack, so that there are still 5 cards in his or her hand. It doesn't matter how many cards are in the centre. The player makes a pile of winnings from the cards collected. So far there are 2. It's now the dealer's turn. The dealer does not have a 4 and can't do anything useful, so the dealer has to discard. The dealer discards his or her lowest number, in this case 6, because in this game the larger numbers are more useful for picking up. Be aware that sometimes it's not best to discard the lowest card. Always think carefully about your discards. The dealer's turn ends when he or she plays the number card. The dealer must then replace the card he or she's used with one from the pack, so that he or she still has 5 cards. You must remember to do this at the end of each turn. Remember, it doesn't matter how many cards there are in the centre. The non-dealer can make another take. The 6 and 4 can be added to make 10. 6 plus 4 equals 10. This kind of take is called a join. The best thing about a join is that you do it by combining cards in the centre and not using cards from your hand. This means that your turn isn't over yet. A join can use more than 2 cards if there are more than 2 in the centre. Once the non-dealer uses the 10 from his or her hand to pick up the take, his or her turn is over. The non-dealer adds 3 more cards to their winnings pile and replaces the used card in his or her hand. In the last turn, the non-dealer took all the cards from the centre. This is a very good tactic as it forces the other player to waste a turn by discarding instead of being able to pick up a take. This tactic is called clearing the centre. You should clear the centre whenever you get the chance. The dealer has to discard. In the absence of anything more useful, the lowest card, 8, should be discarded. The non-dealer does not have an 8, but does have a 1 and a 9, and 8 plus 1 equals 9. So the non-dealer can put the 1 on the 8 in the centre, which makes it into a 9. This is called a build. Once cards have been joined together like this in a join or a build, they cannot be broken up again. You must have the answer to a build in 1 card in your hand. Because the non-dealer has used a number card from his or her hand, 1, the turn is now over and he or she must wait until his or her next turn before taking their build. The other player is allowed to change the build in his or her turn if he or she can. The dealer does not have a 9. but does have a 2 and an 11. A 9 plus 2 equals 11, so the dealer can put the 2 on the 9 in the centre, which makes 11. Because the dealer's used a number card from his or her hand, the 2, the turn is now over, and the player must wait before taking the build. The non-dealer does not have an 11, but they do have a 3 and a 14, and 11 plus 3 equals 14. So the non-dealer can put the 3 on the 11 in the centre, which makes 14. Because the non-dealer used a number card from his or her hand, the 3, their turn is now over, and they must wait before they can take their build. The dealer does not have a 14 and can't do anything to change the build, so the dealer has to discard. The dealer discards one of the 15s because they make a pair, and the dealer might be able to make a match on his or her next turn. The non-dealer takes the build with the 14 card. This now brings his or her winnings to 9 cards. The dealer takes the 15 with his or her 15. This now brings the dealer's winnings to 2 cards. The dealer has also cleared the centre, forcing the non-dealer to discard the next turn. The non-dealer discards the 5. This is not simply because it's the lowest card, it's also because the next turn the dealer could add the 7 to it to make 12. Always look ahead to see what might be useful later when you discard. In this sample game we're not playing with the full pack and the cards have now run out. This means the players cannot keep the number of cards in their hands at 5 anymore. When one player runs out of cards, the game will be over. Once there are no more cards to pick up, you should keep track of who is the last person to pick up a take from the centre. That person will win any of the cards that are left in the centre at the end. The dealer discards the 4. This isn't simply because it's the lowest card, it's also because in his or her next turn the dealer could add 10 to make 14. The non-dealer joins the 4 and 5 to make 9. 4 plus 5 equals 9. It's still the non-dealer's turn because he or she has not moved a number card from his or her hand yet, so the player can take the join with the 9 and can clear the centre. The non-dealer now has 11 cards in his or her winnings pile. This is a better move than continuing with the 5 plus 7 equals 12 move, which would have taken more turns and might not have cleared the centre. Don't be afraid to change your plans. With nothing better to do, the dealer discards the 10, which is his or her lowest card. With nothing better to do, the non-dealer discards the 7, which is that player's lowest card. The dealer still can't do anything useful, and so discards the 11. The non-dealer discards the 12. The dealer discards the 13. The non-dealer matches the 13 in the centre with his or her 13. He or she has now won 13 cards. The non-dealer has now run out of cards. The dealer has one more chance to play, and then the game is over. The dealer must be able to make a join or a match. No building or discarding is allowed. The dealer cannot make a 14, so the game is over. The non-dealer made the last take from the centre, so the non-dealer wins the 4 cards left in the centre, bringing the player's total up to 17. The dealer has 1 card left in his or her hand, so he or she must take a 1-card penalty from his or her winnings. He or she has 2 cards in the winnings pile and must take 1 away, so the dealer only wins 1 card. Cards left over in the hand at the end of the game do not get counted by anyone as winning. Always remember to replace cards you've used from your hand. Your turn ends when you play a number card from your hand. You must have the answer in 1 card in your hand to any joins or builds that you make. Matches and joins can be taken straight away. Builds must be waited for. Other people may take or change your builds. Once made, builds and joins cannot be broken up. You must always say what you're doing. For example, 4 plus 5 equals 9, and I take with my 9. And you must show your answer card if you're making a build. Always try to think ahead and have a plan up your sleeve.